This is Michelle Samuels for Y Goals ID, and today we're going into the entertainment industry to look at one of the outstanding artists that is really shaking up the place in Jamaica and on the international platform. So let's hear what he has to say a little bit without taking liability for anything, but I'm just highlighting the work that he's doing.
Focus, believe in yourself. I'm more like people see your greatness. I don't want you go past them, you see. Work in progress. Still have to come out or something. Feel to be like more than runway. Nothing I want in the country. What me I go do when me hungry? See one with 760, still a thief. Now me I go come my enemy because I speak. Cross center full of minimum wage still I give up. So we had the race. So find my car, me just up in a border. Get some blast police as of a slow down. Like a uptown youth alone from Rosa. Please don't judge me. Just let school and not subject. Don't call me not done said. I'm a work in progress. Still have to come out or something. Feel for me like more than runway. Nothing I want in the country. What me I go do when me hungry?
Yeah, so that's Valiant we have there, which I've been really watching this artist a bit real recently, and focusing on some of the topics and categories that he's been covering, and it's like a refreshing, well, a breath of fresh air passing through dancehall. Why is that? Because I think there are a lot of influential artists out there, obviously, people who have been in the game for some time, and some people, just in the game recently. And the whole dancehall industry and the music industry has been highly challenged recently. So there's a high amount of competition going on, and from the competition is spiraling, those who can really move their creativity to higher levels of beyond what we've experienced so far. And I think this dancehall artist is definitely, I can really look at some of the work he's done and say that he's an entertainer, one, and two, that there's so much behind some of the words that he's actually spitting in the music, well, singing in the music. Now, what is this video really about? The song Please Don't Judge Me and the focus on the children and the next generation. Yes, there is a lot of controversy around highlighting him as an artist and the whole concept of the song The Scholar. And please don't, you just heard it just now. Please don't judge me. Just left school, none a subject. Don't call me a done said. I'm a work in progress. Yeah, and it's been a very, very long time of so many children in the classroom setting and in the education setting and coming into the environment and the society that are neglected and left behind in terms of advancing through the educational system, advancing on the career path, advancing through life in general. And it's really good to see some somebody actually get up and say no, well, no, it's unacceptable. And why this has been like a hidden thing, because of obviously high amounts of competition that goes on, and only winners come out on top. And the educational system is so designed to a certain degree that if you're not fully into it, you don't necessarily have a guarantee of an outcome of being successful. And being that me, I'm a Jamaican, and I'm from Jamaica, even though I'm living in the UK now. And knowing the Jamaican system and how it operates, I can say, I was very competitive in school myself. Education was key, and that was one of the agendas that was pushed to us. And it has been helpful to be educated. But what is education? That is the question, because depending on the design of the individuals, the gifts of the children can be so much so buried and almost repressed that, because of the structure of the educational system, it doesn't allow them to highlight the creativity and the gifts that are like embedded in their designs. So Valiant now is challenging the system through his music and saying, yeah, but what about the children that aren't in a position, or they're not necessarily in a position, it could be in a position because of environmental factors. Because based on my own journey, I've been in situations where I need to focus on university and education, but I have to be thinking how to survive. Could be, where's my next meal coming from? How I'm gonna pay any of my bills? How am I gonna take care of what is important and still focus? So I mean, internationally, we're seeing a lot of things happening across the board as it pertains to just how countries are operating, and the ability for people to generate money, and what is the value of the education system, and how is it creating opportunities for people to be able to make money, to survive, to go after their dreams, and to continue believing in themselves against odds. It's difficult when you're comparing yourself to somebody else that's in a position where they don't have to be thinking about how to survive in a system. And it doesn't even have to be a ghetto system alone, because ghetto is a state of mind. Ghetto is not necessarily, yes, sometimes it's where you come from, but it's where you're going that's important, and what your mindset is. So Valiant now is saying, he's coming under scrutiny, and he's saying, please don't judge me in his music. Why? Why is he highlighting not to be judged? The reason why he's highlighting not to be judged is because a lot of people come under judgment for the fact that they are not fully embedded in the education system. This is not challenging the fact that the educational system can be and has been used to position people in a very empowering way. But some of the great achievers and the great thinkers some of them were people who self-learned or identified their gifts and deviated from the whole structure of the educational system because they didn't want to go into a processing mindset type of a thing, and or they realize their gifts and then focused on, like he has said in his video, mastering the craft, that mastering your craft. And it comes with a high amount of responsibility when you're able to influence a whole society and a generation of thinking. Now some people might say, well, we're not in support of the whole idea of dance, but what is dance? Like sometimes right now, based on how the educational system is moving, like there's a lot of unlearning what was learned so as to relearn or create new ways of learning. So in the song he says, oh, like, oh you mean, or something like that, like, how you mean said the dawn's not bright? Because many children have gone through the system and they have been told that, listen, even when you're receptive to learning the information, they've been told that there's no potential for you to come out to be anything, because you have to follow the trajectory or go on the path of what is expected. And sometimes what is expected doesn't necessarily facilitate the greatness in others, because it's a matter of demand and supply. How many jobs are there? What's the economy like? What's the money flowing through the system? Monetary policies, so many different issues that come up that actually aligns the individual. And sometimes you get the status, you get the education, you get the status, meaning you have that piece of paper, and the paper is supposed to position you to be in a position of getting a job where you have a title or something, but it is not sufficient for you to be able to step into the direction of your greatness from a direction of financial wealth and advancing in general within the society. So sometimes your individual your individual experience or your path can teach you that irrespective of anything that you come up against, you have to fight your way out of the system of thinking, first of all, because it's not easy to be continuously seeing every day the opposite of what you're reaching towards. And it's not easy to be neglected in the classroom setting. It's not easy to be working within the timeline of what the teachers are required to facilitate, because there's an objective, there's a timeline. So if a child is being left behind, or a group of children are being left behind, then they're either neglected or stereotyped, or there's a stigma attached to them, so much so that if the child isn't strong, then they just get lost in the system and on a pathway that just is, if you're not very careful, destructive. So this dancehall artist now is really coming out and saying, no, that's not true. There's truth in some of the words that he's using. Yes, he comes out and he brings up certain things like, I guess you, for lack of a better word, you will highlight certain things that are going on in the Jamaican society and across the world that is not being actually spoken about, but he's coming out and he's speaking about it, and he's actually flipping the view on things and saying, what if we look at it from a different direction, which is necessary, because moving forward there's so much information that we've absorbed that is not applicable at all, that is helpful in advancing us in the direction of the new society that we're going into. And countries like Jamaica, positioned right now with all the wealth and resources that Jamaica has challenges economically, just like the UK, the USA, and other countries around the world. So coming out of the high school system or the educational system with like subjects GCSE, depending on where your location is, CXC, and so on, and you need to have these things, or you even have a first degree to just be a gas attendant. And it sounds somewhat offensive, but that's the reality of the experience. Just because you have an education don't guarantee a job. And there are many people, when you're competing in the international market, there are many people out there who have multiple levels of education, but because of the demands of the society, you know, it's necessary. I've been there where you have to adjust yourself to do jobs and tasks that you don't necessarily think that you are gonna do, because everybody sell you this dream about, oh well, you know what, when you finish you're gonna be great and you're gonna do well, while you repress certain parts of yourself because you were told that this would work. But by the time you get to the point where you need to get to, you realize that this is not necessarily true. It didn't work out that way. I come from a background where there are people who actually didn't finish the education system, and they challenge themselves to be able to rise up out of certain economic situations to be able to achieve certain things. So there's no perfect person out there, but you have to highlight when people have been able to overcome challenges, irrespective of the stigmas and the stereotypes that have been attached to sticking to one specific way of being. So Valiant to me is quite impressive. Why? Because he's able to connect with the people on a level that they can actually relate, and they can hear truth behind the music, topics that haven't been spoken about. We can look at astronomy, and we can look at certain topics that have to do with the sciences. And I'm not talking about sciences in the school setting, but this is the reality of the environment that we live in, and some people do actually tap into to those things, whether it's from a defense standpoint or a justification. That's not the issue. The core issue is that I'm just watching some of his work, and I'm thinking, does he realize the level of influence that he has on the international market, just by being able to actually speak certain words that he speaks through his music, and to come with a style of music that is it kind of it is different. And it's not the same all the time. And in this environment, no matter how much education you have, especially when you're coming from countries like Jamaica and you're going to compete internationally, the ability, it doesn't even matter if you're from the UK or a first world country or whatever it is. Moving forward, it's just like an open playing field for people to be able to compete, move their levels of creativity to different tangents, and to be able to say, I can be unique, I can stand out. And it is quite empowering to the other people who are looking for somebody to look up to. And it comes with a high level of responsibility. Do you understand? So me speaking about dance hall artist Valiant is kind of in line with some of, to a certain degree, in line with the belief system that it's necessary to believe in yourself. It's necessary to sometimes go against the order or create a reorder, or to stand up and speak some amounts of truth that will change things, not only for us, the present people in the society, but for the present adults in the society, but for the next generation as well. And to highlight, it's like art reflecting life. And if art isn't reflecting life to a certain degree, it just basically goes unnoticed. And the people who are able to say, this is real life in an artistic manner, they're able to shift the whole landscape of thinking. Now, I don't want anybody to think for a minute that I'm totally promoting lack of education. I've moved to so many levels through the education system, and I'm independently using that information to be able to position myself, so I'm able to reach people on a level that they can see the higher aspects of themselves, while I learn about the higher aspects of myself. And I'm able to grow too and move to in the direction of my dreams and make my dreams a reality, build my confidence, build other people's confidence, and just motivate other people through my own actions and through my life lessons and overcoming my hurdles. So I just want to highlight Jamaican dancehall artist Valiant. He's influencing new ways of thinking through his music. And if you can tap into some, it's really for adults, just to say, yeah. And some of the music might be controversial, and some of it might be quite challenging. Some people might question themselves about the mindset they're in. But if you listen to some of the key things that he's highlighting, not a lot of people have the skill sets to be able to take a societal, it's almost like a dilemma or a societal issue or a problem, and actually flip it in such a way that people actually feel like they want to pay attention to those who are neglected. They want to actually pay attention to those who are understated in the society. They want to identify the fact that it's difficult to create the wealth that you want to based on the environment that you're in, and only the few sometimes rise up. But it's those few can influence the greater majority to be able to see that thinking outside of the box. Learning is important, but what you do with what you learn is even more important. And to what level do you learn it? Because some people learn to a certain level and they're still learning, but whatever they had before, they can actually use it from a marketing standpoint in an industry where they can actually make money from it. And ideally, that's what a lot of people are going for, or some people should go for more so than before, because of the shift that's happening in the society, where the labor market is impacted. There are less jobs available to certain people. So using your creativity and being able to take right action in the direction of marketing yourself, putting yourself out there, putting whatever product it is that you have out there, taking a chance, forgetting the fear. He says it himself. He says it in it. He says, forget fears. Because sometimes if you follow fear, you don't even move in the direction of trying because of a fear of failure, because you're consistently told, not only in the ghetto society, and this is not society, but in not only in the ghetto, come here Jamaican, you understand, not only in the ghetto but also all spheres of life. You have to be adaptable and you have to know when to use your head. It's only common sense. Like it don't make no sense you going out there and you're embedded in this one track mindset, and it's a road to nowhere, and because everybody else is telling you do it this way, do it this way, but you are the one, you are the specific person. You have to find the food to put on the table. You have to fulfill your family responsibility. You have to find the money to be able to pay the bills. It's not anybody else. So using your common sense in certain scenarios is very good, rather than going ahead with what, because what worked for somebody else won't necessarily work for the other people. But some people can set the landscape in such a way that there's a consistent trend or a pattern or a way of thinking that can influence the majority. So I just want to say, well done to Valiant, and just continue doing what you're doing. And hopefully he understands. And I can get that from the music that he does, that he'll continue influencing the next generation in a positive way that challenges them to think outside of the box and to actually see the greatness in themselves outside of the expectations of the society. Because, like I said before, ghetto is not a place. Ghetto is a place for a time, but ghetto is a state of mind. And to rise up out of the ghetto, it is possible. It is very hard, but like everything else, anybody can achieve wealth and go back down to ground zero. What are you going to do to create that new version of you that is consistent with actually helping somebody else in the process? So I'm Michelle Samuels for White Goals ID, and you, I'm gonna go Jamaican for a minute. You don't know we love Jamaica, and we have to big up all of the dancehall artists them that making a difference out there and really changing the trajectory of things, because globally we need it. Jamaica needs it as well, and we need to be empowered and believe in ourselves. Use the education system to a certain degree, but use common sense, use our creativity, and just align ourselves to be the greater version of who we are. Don't forget to subscribe to the video. I hope Valiant don't mind. I'll reference the picture that's on here on this thumbnail and to extract it from one of his videos. So hopefully this will be, a really good outcome in terms of supporting some of the stuff that he's doing, not necessarily in totality, but from from the viewpoint of just changing things for others as well. And we're gonna close with a part of North Carolina, which is one of his songs. Don't mind the bad word because he's only 18 and over. Listen to my channel, yeah? Yo, my nigga.